Okay, we're going to do a short video on methods just to get the basic methods down. You've probably been working with methods since you very first started in programming, but just not realized it. Here's a short one about getting test scores and making those test scores over into letters. A, B, C, or D, numeric over into letters. Now, the ones that you've already been using, anytime you used a scanner or took input from the keyboard, for instance, I'm wanting to use the keyboard that I've created from a scanner to tell it dot next double. Now next double is actually a method. That method is going to give me back a double data type numeric value from the keyboard. Gives me back score 1. So this is the method name. What goes between the parentheses or what the method needs to work, and what I'm assigning it to is the data type of the value it's going to return back to me from a method. A method is simply a small block of code that performs one process that we can call. So this is one that the library has. Now let's look at one that the programmer can create. So let's go down and look at one to where once I have all 5 scores, I want to get the average of them. So I'm creating a method with a name called calcAverage. I'm passing 5 double variables to them, to the calcAverage, and I'm getting back an average data type. So I'm passing it the data, calcAverage performs, it gives me or returns to me the average. So let's go down and look at methods that we create. Methods that you create must be outside of main but still inside the class. So the first one, the calcAverage, let's go down and find it. Okay, so here's my calcAverage. That's the name of the method. Now the first 2 names or first 2 items that are inside this method header, just realize they're lockstep. You have to have them in there for right now. We'll learn about them later. So you have public, static, then right here double, that is the type of data that you're going to return. So I'm going to return a value that is a double data type. I can return an int, I can return a float, a long, or if it says void, I'm not returning anything. Okay, so here's the name, and for each one that I passed, I have to catch it. So I passed 5 double variables. I have to catch 5 of them. They don't have to be the same name. This could be score 11. It looks at the slots. This is slot 1. This is slot 2. That's going to match what I'm catching. 5 slots. Whenever you pass them, you just tell them the variable name. When you catch them, you're declaring these variables that this method's going to use, and you're filling it with data. Okay, so calcAverage performs all the processes I needed to process, and then since I have something here besides void, it's going to return either one value, a variable, or the results of this calculation. So it's going to calculate, then return that value. I could have had it come up here and do this. To where it's going to perform this, put it in total. Then I would have returned total. Oops, sorry, not an int, a double. There we go. Now it's going to take this value. It's going to return right where I called it from. It's then going to immediately use it by assigning it to that variable. Now, the other method is called determine grade. I'm using it more than once, so that's another reason for a method. I can write it once and call it many times. So here I'm going to determine the corresponding alphabetic letter grade for score 1. So I've got to call this and pass it score 1. So here's my determine grade. It's going to catch what I pass to it. Any variable I declare in a method is only recognized in that method. So that's why I've got to declare grade here, because determine grade wants to use it and I didn't pass it in. All right, so I go through and determine what my letter grade is, and then I return that char. Notice I'm returning a char from determine grade. It goes right back up, and this one immediately uses it by displaying it. Now I could have called this and had it return to a variable called letter, and then I would have displayed letter. I would have done the exact same thing 4 more times with the different scores, and then just letter here. But I'd have to have letter 1, letter 2, letter 3, and you see how it would work. Okay, this is just a very brief look at methods. One thing you need to remember is that anything declared in a method is only recognized and usable in that method between those curly braces. Anything done to a variable, even if it's passed in, is not recognized outside of the method. That changes when we hit arrays, but for primitive data types, that's the rules. So if I have something declared in main, such as score 1, this score 1 is only recognized in main. In order to use that same variable in another method, such as in calculate average, I have to declare it in that method. They're two separate variables. The score 1 in calc average is different than the score 1 in main. That's the briefest part of methods we can go through right now.